Right, time again. Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. Today we're back with WSL action. It has been a long few weeks since we were last here with live WSL football, but we are back at last and we've got 2 game weeks ahead of the Christmas break to look forward to. Today we start with Arsenal taking on Liverpool. 2 sides who desperately need a result. 2 sides underperforming their pre-season expectations. Liverpool though in the more dire situation, rooted to the bottom of the league, but a much more convincing performance last time out will give them confidence they can get something from today's game. As for Arsenal, well, they'll be looking at today's game as a huge opportunity to get back to winning ways. Better form of late, but a slow start to the campaign sees them 5th in the league. This will be a very interesting game. I think people will go into this underestimating Liverpool from the start, and that is understandable given where they have been this season, but I think when you've watched Liverpool, the game against Chelsea and the game against Man City were their most impressive performances for me. And I think with the way that Gareth Taylor wants to set up his side, they have performed well against those top teams. So I think they will give Arsenal a much more difficult game than expected today. I could still see Arsenal coming out on top. I think for Arsenal, it'll be interesting to see how they perform. I think they'll be wanting, much more than the result, the performance is the important thing for Arsenal. Because I think in terms of results now, they'll probably struggle to get top 2. I think 3rd place is definitely up for grabs, but the performance is more important for me because looking into the back half of the season, I think Arsenal's focus has got to switch to the cup competitions because I just don't see them winning the league. Of course, it's still really important they get Champions League football. That is so important in terms of maintaining players, in terms of being able to attract players, in terms of finances. They need that Champions League revenue. But I think in terms of them being able to win something this season, their focus will shift towards those cup competitions. So for me, for Arsenal, at the end of this year, it's about getting those performances going into the new year. So yeah, today will be an important one. This is a game that for Arsenal, based on paper, they should have no issues with. But as I say, I think Liverpool are a side who are very good at making themselves difficult to beat against these top teams. We've seen that. It's not been a great start for Gareth Taylor, admittedly, at Liverpool. But I think the performances have been there, especially against these top sides. So if that's the only silver lining for me. I'm going to get up the lineups. Unfortunately, the Wi-Fi isn't very quick today in the studio, but hopefully we will have no issues. But interestingly, the big team news for Arsenal, no Chloe Kelly. She picked up an injury over the international break, and no Daphne van Domselaar also picked up an injury, I think prior to the international break though, to be fair. And obviously Arsenal don't have Manuela Zinsberger, so it's a big opportunity for Borba, but the fact they haven't given her any minutes yet this season does make today a little bit nervy for me because Borba's got to come in and perform. It's either going to be Middleton Patel against Man City or Middleton Patel against PSG. In the fact that she's either going to come in and just have a stormer and be incredible, or she's going to come in and struggle a little bit. So she's being thrown into the deep end today. Admittedly, Liverpool aren't decided to take loads of shots, so she could get away with it the same way that Middleton Patel did against PSG. But I think, again, that big test will come when they play those tough oppositions. I think Arsenal got a Champions League game on Tuesday, but I can't remember who they're playing. We are live for it, though. It's Twfc 20, isn't it, I believe? That will be an interesting game, I think. We're very interested to see how Arsenal look in that match. They're still not clear in the Champions League, are they? They're very close to that bubble of being knocked out early, so that's going to be a really important game. Let's get into the lineups, though. We'll start with the hosts, Arsenal, as we are, I believe, at the Emirates Stadium today. We are indeed. We'll start with the hosts, Arsenal, then. In goal, as I mentioned, it is going to be Borba, a back 4 of Fox, Wubben-Moy, Catley and Taylor-Hines. I think that's a smart decision there to start her against her former side. In the midfield is a pivot of Cooney Cross and Mariona Caldente, with Marnham in the 10. On one side it's Smith, on the other it's Mead, and leading the line it's Alessia Russo. So some big choices. Obviously no Kelly available today for Arsenal, so I think Mead and Smith was the obvious combination they were going to go for. Caitlin Ford not starting them, which is a big decision. We've tended to see Mead and... Is it Mead and Kelly and then Ford and Smith? It's been so long since I've watched WSL football. But they tended to use them in pairs. So Slager's, I believe, mixing that up today. Other than that, Frida Marnham, interesting choice to start. Obviously, they're going to stick with the same pivot. She's been incredibly stubborn with that. has Renee Slagers. In more encouraging team news though for Arsenal, Leah Williamson back in the side, I believe, today. That was mentioned in, yes she is, and same for Kim Little. So we could see both of those. And I believe in the press conference, Renee Slagers said we would see both of those, Little for a slightly longer period and Williamson hopefully getting a sort of 10-15 minute period. So we could see both of those today, and I expect we will see, if Arsenal are in a comfortable position, both of them involved. Let's take a look then at the visitors. 4-2-3-1 for Gareth Taylor's Liverpool. In goal it is Faye Kirby. She keeps her place after a better performance in the game against Chelsea. In the back four it's Parry, Clark, Evans and Lily Woodham. Lily Woodham was a slight doubt due to injury, but she does make the starting lineup. In the midfield pivot it's Nagano alongside Hannah Silcock, a forced change due to injury absences. It's then going to be on one side Keneally Capox, on the other side Mia Enderby, Kirsty McLean in the 10, and leading the line it is Beta Olsen. So a lot of forced changes through injury today for Liverpool. No Sam Kerr, no Mary-Therese Hobing. Obviously she's been out for a little bit longer now. It means that Capox is going to move back into a wide area. A little bit disappointing. I mean, Capox has been fantastic in that central role, but she's also a very good winger, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Beta Olsen, the big one for me. She's Liverpool's top goal scorer this season, and the Swedish striker has been a huge part of Liverpool's attack throughout this campaign. So if she can keep firing like she has, that will give Liverpool a bit more hope. But yeah, the other thing I didn't mention for Arsenal, very interestingly, no Stina Blackstenius in the starting lineup. She does make the bench though, so that's an interesting one for me, because I think Blackstenius has been Arsenal's best attacker at times this season. So that is a little bit of an interesting one that she doesn't start today. In recent weeks, they have been preferring to go with Blackstenius in that striker role and then dropping Russo into the 10. Let's get to the live chat then. Unfortunately, I can't balance both of those at the same time today, but read through your comments now. Leon, welcome to the stream. H said, so good to be back. This screams a 1-1 draw. I could see that, to be fair. I mean, obviously Liverpool drawing 1-1 in their last outing against Chelsea, or their last WSL outing. Phil says, afternoon all, feeling good about this one. Players have the bit between their teeth. I mean, it's been a while, Phil, since you've been feeling good about Arsenal. So that is positive at least. Alyssa said, so happy to see Little and Leia on the bench. Yeah, I think both of them are huge leaders for Arsenal, to have them both available off the bench today, hopefully for selection in a few weeks' time. I think that is such a big thing. I think the loss of Williamson this season, it can't be understated how important that's been, or how disappointing that's been for Arsenal. So yeah, it's going to be important to have Williamson back soon. A few other comments then. H saying, if we can't trust the keeper we just bought, then sack everyone in charge of recruitment. It's less about the fact that Borba's not a good goalkeeper, but more about the fact that Borba hasn't played yet. So it's just going to be interesting to see how she adjusts to being in this Arsenal team. She could have come in and be brilliant. I mean, I haven't seen Borba play, so I can't judge. That's the problem. I think, she should come in and do okay. Arsenal have signed her for this reason, but it's the problem that she hasn't been given an opportunity yet, and now it's just thrown into action. When you look at, there's Manchester United had the same issue, but when you think about the top two teams in the league right now, Manchester City, obviously Keating's played more than enough for City to know that she'll be okay in that role. We haven't really seen Eartha Cummings given an opportunity, to be fair. I think that is a little bit of an issue. And then the other problem, and then the other side is Chelsea, who Livia Payne has played Champions League minutes before she had to come in and replace Hannah Hampton. So it's been a weird season for goalkeeping injuries. We've got all of Van Domselaar, Hampton, and Valentina's Choice currently out injured, and Kiara Keating's injured for Man City as well, although they do have a Yaka Yamashita, who is their first choice. So yeah, it's been a weird season for goalkeeping injuries though. Ryzen, by the way, says, why is my display name changed? This is a weird YouTube change, which I've absolutely hated this week. They've swapped it so it's no longer the display names that are shown in the live chat. It's instead the usernames. But obviously, a lot of people don't have the same username as they do display name. So Ryzen, you are now Fallen Angel Eye. So yeah, luckily I recognised your profile picture, so it's not too bad. And the fact you've got membership helps as well. But yeah, I mean, and Phil is all right, but Phil is also Philly, so it's okay on that one. But yeah, it's been a weird change. YouTube love just changing things randomly. But there we go. A few minutes till kickoff, so we'll get into predictions in a moment. Anything else to touch on though? Well, I think it's going to be an interesting day to see how Liverpool set up. Liverpool recently have been very good at being narrow and compact defensively and then looking to spring on the counter. And I think when we consider Arsenal's biggest weakness, it probably is that counter-attack, that ability for a side to break in transition. So I think that could be a big point today for Liverpool. If they can be good in transition, we know Arsenal aren't brilliant defending transitions. So that could be a problem for the Gunners. And yeah, so I think that's where Liverpool can get something from this game. It's going to be difficult though. I think for Arsenal, it's going to be about how they break that Liverpool structure down, because they have struggled at times to break down low blocks. And I think when you consider how deep they'll probably be today, Liverpool, I think that will be difficult for Arsenal. But Arsenal have, I think that's why having Olivia Smith in this game is really important. Not only because she's very familiar with the opponent, of course, playing for Liverpool last season, but also the fact that she's very talented, she's very creative. And I think when you think about like the London City game was a good example of a side who played a bit of a low block. I mean, to be fair, they played a bit of a high line actually, but she was able to create space for herself by driving that ball forwards. And I think if by having Olivia Smith, you have a player who can sort of break down a structure by herself. I think Mead as well is a really decent creator. I think I mean, obviously Beth Mead was well known as a sort of out and out finisher, brilliant forward in her prime, but I think more recently she's become a very underrated creator. And yeah, I think Arsenal will miss the fact they don't have Kelly as an option today, because as much as I think Kelly is very one-dimensional, that one dimension is very good. She is an excellent crosser of the ball. And I think just having an impact later into games, she's very good at that. So I think that will be a loss for Arsenal today. But I think they would have started this team regardless of whether they had Kelly or not. But yeah, players coming out of the tunnel. So let's get into predictions then. If you want to get involved in the live chat. Let me know your scoreline prediction. I will kick us off here in the studio, though. I am going to say a fairly comfortable Arsenal win today. I think Liverpool have done very well in recent weeks, but I think coming back from the international break, going into Christmas, I think Arsenal will have the bit between their teeth. As Phil said, to be fair, I think Arsenal won it today. And I think in front of the Emirates crowd, they will impress. I'm going to say Arsenal 2, Liverpool 0. Don't think it's going to be a drubbing, but I do think it'll be comfortable. I'll say a goal from Olivia Smith and I'll say a goal from Taylor Hines. I'm going to back both former Liverpool players to score for Arsenal today. So yeah, get your predictions in the live chat. Harry says, great to be back with some domestic action. Should be a good game. Hopefully, yes, hopefully the Wi-Fi will hold on in there while we're live today. And hopefully we are tracked to a very good start to the WSL game week. And yeah, we've got some fantastic games this match week. Unfortunately, we're not live tomorrow, but we will be back with a live show on Monday. That's a key thing to remember. Live show on Monday now. The weekend roundup is going to be a live show. If you can't watch it live, then hopefully it will still be good content afterwards. So that will now be live for people who want to interact with us while we're talking about the game week. That will be a live show on Monday. So look out for that 5 p.m. Monday. Other than that, everything is staying the same. We're back with, I believe we are live every day this week, apart from Friday. So look out for all of that. A lot of live games and a lot of live content to look out for. Phil Welcome says, I'm going big with a 4-0 win. Alyssa has to one-up that, though, with a 5-0 victory. Russo with a double. Smith, Mead and Cowden Tate all to get on the score sheet. Fair enough. Ryzen saying 2-1. Olsen on the score sheet too. I assume that's 2-1 Arsenal, but you never know. And Harry's saying Liverpool with only 4 outfield players on the bench, another light squad. Well, that is the thing. I mean, we talk about Arsenal's injuries, but Liverpool today with a very makeshift looking at midfield. And in fact, it looks like it could be a 5-back with Silcock deeper in midfield. I thought Silcock would play in defence midfield, but Sky Sports seem to think she'll be in the middle of a back 3. That could be the situation. I think a 5-back isn't awful for Liverpool today, but I would be surprised if they change it. But yeah, we have seen Liverpool with a lot of injuries of late. No Herbinger for this game, no Sam Kerr for this game. They're 2 big losses. They're probably their best, or some of their best players. And yeah, no Risa Shimizu. I don't know if she's on the bench either. But yeah, we've got a lot of injuries for Liverpool. But hopefully, I mean, I think they've still named a fairly strong team, considering. But it will be interesting to see, especially someone like McLean. If that is a midfield pivot, playing McLean in there is a very big decision. I wouldn't be surprised if it is Silcock in the back 5, whether they've gone for maybe a bit of a midfield 3 and put Kapox in there as well, and then maybe a front 2. That could work a little better, but it'd be interesting to see what they have gone for. And I think, I mean, to be fair, Parry's very much a wing back, so I think it could be wing backs today. Ryzen saying 2-1 Arsenal, fair enough. Phil going for 2 for Marnham, fair enough. And then 1 for Russo, 1 for Beth Mead. Loving all the predictions coming in, get them in before kick-off. I love as well the fact that the usernames are always a little bit, or can be a little bit janky. CD0ADUN, I'm going to go for, says, why can't I watch the stream from my country? Do you have links to it? Unfortunately not. If you want to watch the game, it is live on Sky Sports Day. I believe it is on Sky Sports Showcase, but it's also on Sky Sports Premier League if you have the subscription. But I think it could be free on Sky if you have a Sky Sports usual plan. I'm not 100% sure on that though, so you'll have to check. But yes, I believe it is definitely on Sky Sports Premier League. That's what I'm watching it on. And it will be Liverpool to get us underway here at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal versus Liverpool. And it looks like Liverpool are going to pump it long from the kickoff, waiting for the referee's whistle. And they are going to go long to kick off this WSL game week. It's Arsenal versus Liverpool live at the Emirates. And it's Arsenal in possession early on here. Catley. Back to Borba, and I think it's important that Borba settles into this game early. A big opportunity for her, a big opportunity for a few Arsenal players today. Cooney Cross getting a run in the side in the absence of Little, who is back on the bench today, and she'll be keen to keep her spot. Ball down the left-hand side, and now it's Olivia Smith running at Silcock, shifts it inside to Marnham. Now looking to create an opportunity, does take aim, and that's straight down the throat of the keeper. But Arsenal landing the first blow there, first shot of the game. And they move forward quite easily through Liverpool's structure. And now Liverpool building out from the back. Here's Clark. Looking to lift it forwards. Alston trying to compete for it in midfield. He's going to drop now for Cooney Cross, who does really well to get it through there, but has committed a foul. And so that will be a Liverpool free kick. This says the stream on Sky Sports is not the best right now. I thought that was just me, but it is. I think mine might be just me, to be fair, because mine is incredibly blurry. But yeah, here is Clark. Forward pass into Nagano, back to Evans. And now Clark. Silcock. Back to Clark, under pressure here from Arsenal, who are pressing high, and they've turned it over well. Hines plays it into Smith. Back now to Caldente, who knocks it out to the left-hand side. Hines will try and get there. But it's out of play. But it has come off a Liverpool play, and that will be an Arsenal throw. Back now to Catley. Now Wubben-Moy. Another player with a lot to prove. Lotta Wubben-Moy with Williamson back available for selection. Expect to come back into the side. Wubben-Moy, this really her last opportunity to prove herself. Ball in behind there from Arsenal. Flag is up though, and that will be a Liverpool free kick. And yeah, Caldente drifted well into the half space, but has just gone too early there. I think Mariana Caldente is a player who is always a very consistent performer, but by her lofty standards has struggled to shine this season. I don't think it's helped with how deep in the field she's played, but we've not seen her be that creative force. We've not seen her drag Arsenal into a strong position. She's the kind of player who, even if you're having an off game, she can provide something that just shifts the result. But I think the problem for Arsenal this season is using her as a defensive midfielder. You don't really get that quality. You don't see her creative and attacking prowess. Hines will thrown on this left-hand side. Back now to Catley. And she'll go back to Borba. Again, surveying those forward options. Now into Catley. Shifts it into Cooney Cross. And it's back to Catley. And now all the way back to Borba. Cooney Cross splitting the centre half. Now looking to lift it out to the right-hand side. That's dispossessed by Woodham though. Now looking to bring Enderby into the game. Fighting away for possession. That has come off the Liverpool player though. That's out for an Arsenal throw. Shabadilza says these players don't play to Smith's strengths. An interesting statement. I think Smith is suited more to transitional football. I'll agree with you there. But I think she can she can suit this Arsenal system. Ball down the line now, looking for Olivia Smith, who's got space to work with on this left-hand side, up against Silcock. Parry getting back in now. Smith shifts it inside. Now looking to bring Caldente into the game. Ball into the area, handed away well by Clark. That's going to drop to Cooney Cross, who look to recycle it. Now Fox, wide into Mead. Tries to play that pass forward. It's intercepted. Back to Mead. Fox plays around the corner. Mead goes back to Wubben-Moy. And now Catley. Bounce off Caldente. Catley looking to go to the left-hand side. Taylor Hines knocks it down the line. Here's Smith, who will drop the shoulder and shift inside. Takes it past Silcock, and she's been caught in the challenge there. And that's where Smith's incredibly dangerous, when she's darting inside of the ball. So difficult to take it off her, and Silcock just catching her in the challenge. It's smart from Smith. She drops the shoulder, invites Silcock in, and then just shifts it quickly to the right, and Silcock catches her in the challenge. And that was always going to be a free kick. Smart stuff from Olivia Smith, drawing the foul. Free kick now to Arsenal in the attacking third. And I mean, they could even look to go for goal from here. I mean, Faye Kirby's been better in recent weeks, but I think if you look at how she struggled at the start of the season, if you can get shots on target today, Arsenal could have a lot of joy from that. Here is Beth Mead. And Cooney Cross will also stand over it, but it will be Mead to take. Lifts it towards the back post. Chance for Arsenal. Kirby does claim it well, though. Looked like, I didn't think initially she was going to hold on to that, but she does do really well. And Liverpool now can play out from the back. Here is Evans. Shift inside from Woodham. Nagano does well to hold on to the ball, but it does come off her. As she battles with Russo, and that will be out for an Arsenal throw on this near side. Here's Fox. Back now to Lotta Wubben-Moy. Now Catley. It's been one-way traffic so far, though. Liverpool struggling to get a foot on the ball. Arsenal dominant in the opposition half. All of the ball, all of the chances thus far. Nothing clear-cut for the Gunners yet, though. And Caldente caught in the challenge. Arsenal keep possession there, though. Shifting out to the left-hand side. Here's Smith. Wants to take on Silcock. Will go outside this time, and Silcock stands her up well, and that's out for an Arsenal corner. Great work there from Hannah Silcock, keeping with her former teammate. Stood her ground nicely and blocked the incoming cross. And this is perhaps, I mean, I spoke about this when Smith first joined Arsenal. It's perhaps her biggest weakness is that weak foot. And I think at times she can be too one-dimensional. If she's come inside and she's already got past the player, she's dangerous. But the problem is it's too predictable because you know where she wants to go. So if you funnel her out wide, you can really limit her. Corner now, though, for Arsenal. And it's Beth Mead over this. Swings it in to the right sort of area, header towards goal. Not the most powerful from Wubben-Moy, though. Is a little bit behind her, to be fair. She did well to get it on target, but it's a comfortable save for Faye Kirby. And Liverpool now will look to build out from the back. Here's Evans. Back now to Kirby. And now it's with Clark. Into Silcock. Knocks it down the line. Intercepted well by Caldente. And Arsenal regain possession. So it looks what Liverpool are doing is that it is a 5-back without the ball. But with the ball, Silcock's moving to right back and Parry's going up the line. Quite common to build up with a 4-back, even if you are playing a 5-back. But interesting nonetheless. Liverpool pressing Arsenal hard here, but here is Cooney Cross. Manages to slip that pass through the middle of the structure. Russo now holds on to it well. Nagano, though, does well to win it back. And it's knocked forward, but that falls to Lotta Wubben-Moy. Shifts it wide now into Hines. Back to Mead, who just dropped into a defensive position. It's a little bit of a makeshift shape for Arsenal after that corner. Marnham drops in to receive the ball. Now Wubben-Moy back to Freedom Marnham. And Wubben-Moy will look to hit it in behind. That's not a bad ball at all from Lotta Wubben-Moy. Russo looking to come inside now, bearing in on goal. She shifts it across the box. It's a little behind her attacking teammates. Smith into the area, and that is headed to the goalkeeper by Caldente. Not a load of power on that delivery. And yeah, Russo did well. Just shifted it behind Olivia Smith. Smith crossed it in. And it was kind of too central on the head of Caldente for her to be able to drive any power through that. Did well. It was almost a grazing header towards Kirby. Didn't generate enough power really though. And there was an offside flag up anyway, I believe, there on Russo. Capox receives that really well in a tight area. Out wide to Parry. McLean back to Silcock. So it's quite interesting. I mean, they're getting the same effect with Kapox anyway that they were getting in the last few games, where they've been using her as a central player because she's inverting quite aggressively, and that allows Parry then to overlap. So what Liverpool are doing is creating the same sort of attacking shapes they've been doing in recent weeks, whilst giving themselves a slightly more defensive out of possession structure, or a slightly deeper defensive structure, I should say. Evans back now to Kirby. And yeah, as Shamadiddle says, unfortunately, we're unable to show the game. We'd love one day to own the rights to the WSL, or at least a women's competition, but unfortunately we're not allowed to show the game. McLean back now to Silcock. And now Liverpool will look to build out from the back. Kirby drills a pass out to the left-hand side. Very accurate into Woodham. Looks to go down the line now. And Enderby unable to keep that in touch. And that'll be out now for a Liverpool throw. Shower Dizzle says, does World Sevens let you stream their content? I don't imagine so. That starts today, doesn't it? The American version of it. I think it's in Fort Lauderdale, I want to say. Be interested to see what that's like. I thought the European version was a very different style of football, very different packaged competition, but I thought it was still very enjoyable. Cooney Cross sending it over the top. Now looks to pick out Olivia Smith. Wants to take on Parry here. And Parry does really well to stand her up, and Smith drags her down in the aftermath, and that will be a Liverpool free kick. But this is what I mean about Olivia Smith. And I think the problem at the moment for her is that, especially because Liverpool are very familiar with Smith, is they know what she wants to do. I think every team knows what she wants to do. She wants to cut inside to be able to play on that right foot. But the problem is it's just too predictable. Ball goes long now, and that's over the top of Catley, and she's been caught out. Here's a chance for Liverpool. The keeper comes flying, and that has done enough to put Olsen off there. But that was brave from Borba. Catley got completely caught out in the air there. Ball goes long from Liverpool from this free kick. Silcock puts it in behind. Catley completely caught out. Olsen in behind. And Borba does enough there. It's a little bit reckless, but she doesn't actually make any contact with the player. Just comes flying in. And it's just done enough to put Olsen off. But wow, that was a nervy moment there for Arsenal. Liverpool getting in for the first time, really. Evans caught in possession. Arsenal can look to play out now. Russo hits it in behind. Chance now. It's 2-on-2 for Arsenal. Here's Beth Mead. Needs to bring Marnham into the game. Shifts it across. That's 2 ahead of Frida Marnham. She'll work hard to get there, though. Gives time for Liverpool to get back in. Marnham. Now to Smith. Can she make something happen? Drops it back to Catley. Now to Caldente in a tight area. Catley again. Looks to go wide. Here's Mariona Caldente. Pivots nicely. Off the shoulder of McLean. Tries to play that pass forward. That's a little bit of a forced through ball. That will go to Faye Kirby. Shower Dizzle says, Borba, very dangerous choice. Yeah. I thought she was going to catch the player there. But yeah. Phil says, the centre-backs are such a worry. Well, that was such a strange moment there from Steph Catley. Just completely misjudged the flight of that ball, seemingly. Russo, strong pressure there on Evans, and I think that it's only gone for a throw, to be fair. It was kind of close to Evans running that out of play, but she does clear it out for an Arsenal throw. DMD, welcome to the stream. Says, come on, you Gunners. Well, it's been a solid start for Arsenal, albeit a very nervy moment just a few moments ago. But Arsenal now, and it is indeed a corner. And it's Beth Mead to take. And Arsenal had a few aerial deliveries, haven't really been able to threaten. They go along the floor for this one. Here's Caldente, loops it towards the back post. Header crashes against the post for Catley. Drops now for Russo. Here's Hines on the edge. Back to Russo. Into the box. Chance now for Marnham, and she's got that one all wrong. But that was a brilliant opportunity for Arsenal. A smart routine. The ball shifted short into Caldente, lifted towards the back post. And I thought it was Steph Catley, but it may have been Wubben-Moy actually, who made contact at the back post. It was Wubben-Moy crashing it against the post. And Liverpool getting a little bit fortunate with that one. It was a mess of bodies in there. Ruben Moy rose highest. Thundered her effort against the post. They tried to recycle it, didn't quite come off. Marnham had so much space in the penalty area, but her header skewed miles wide. Liverpool send it long from the goal kick then, and Arsenal in possession. Here's Borba. Lloyd runs the stream, says, I've just arrived and have no stream. Who are the Arsenal midfield? Is a pivot of Caldente and Cooney Cross, and then Marnham in the 10. Breaking down the right-hand side now are Arsenal. Here's Fox, who stayed high and wide. Wants to take on Woodham now. Back into Mead. Now Fox again. Down the line for Beth Mead. Chance now for Arsenal. She can put this into the area. Lifted towards the back post. Russo makes contact. It's cleared away. Marnham tries to create space in the box. Silcock gets it to safety. But it's back to Mead. Liverpool under the cosh right now. Fox pokes it through the lines into Caldente. Tidy touch there from the creative Spaniard. Out wide now to Mead. Back to Caldente. Can they make something happen here, Arsenal? Back to Beth Mead. Now Caldente, and they've drawn a little bit of space. They've drawn space in the half space there, but no one was there for Arsenal. No one made the run. And now they'll switch to the left-hand side. Here's Catley. Looking to go down the line. Does find Smith. Parries all over her though. Smith does really well to wriggle out of space there. Chance now for Olivia Smith. Strikes from range and it's there. What a hit from Smith, and Arsenal lead. And that is where she's dangerous. We saw it against London City. She chopped inside well and that time struck across goal. This time sends the effort to the near post and it's Arsenal 1, Liverpool 0. And that is a great effort from Olivia Smith. What else would you expect from a player of that quality? Picks up the ball in this central area. Parry chased her down and it looked like it'd be very difficult for her to hold on to the ball. Here's Smith, but she wriggled out of 3 or 4 players, picks up the ball and buries it in the bottom corner. And again, this is where players against their former clubs come in handy because she knows Kirby's weakness there, strikes it to the near post. Kirby can't get there. Takes too long to get down to it and Olivia Smith finds the back of the net. It's Arsenal 1, Liverpool 0. And that is a really important goal to start this game. Arsenal were putting on the pressure. They had all of the possession. They had all the chances. There was that fear that once again they'd let it slip and they wouldn't capitalise on early domination. But they have here and they lead at the Emirates. Great goal from Olivia Smith. H says, Olivia, you superstar. Lloyd says, the sort of predictable we like. Well, this is what I mean. Olivia Smith is capable of incredible moments. I still think she's too predictable. But that was brilliant. Incredibly gifted player. And if you let her cut inside like Liverpool did, I mean, they tried very hard to stop her and it was very difficult to stop her. If you let her cut inside onto that right foot, she can produce strikes like that. Out to the left-hand side here for Arsenal. Marnham fighting away for possession and that is out for an Arsenal throw. Shamidil says, you said they know her well, doesn't mean they can stop her 3 Liverpool players she dribbled through. Well, absolutely. I mean, that is the difference, isn't it? That's the star quality that Smith possesses, an ability to just keep carrying. I think that's one of her biggest strengths is riding contact, her ability to sort of firm those challenges. There's a few nibbles in there from Liverpool players where they try to off-put her and they try to knock her off the ball and they can't. She's a very physical player. I think that's such an underrated attribute of her game. I mean, we all know she's a brilliant dribbler. We all know her ball striking's top notch. But actually being able to ride contact, being able to hold on to the ball is such an important trait in a winger. And yeah, I think that's exactly what Smith has shown there. I mean, obviously the headlines will be about the strike. Great effort from range. I think Kirby should do a lot better. But I think for me, what shows Smith's skill set best there was her ability to just hold on to that ball, ride the challenges. And that created then the space because she drew 3 Liverpool players to her. They all missed that ball and it created the space for her to drive into. Liverpool building out from the back now. Anton says Smith is still very young, jealous of the signing. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a top deal for Arsenal. I think again though it shows the difference in, or it shows the sort of complexity of Arsenal's situation right now in that they don't seem to know whether they are going to be a team that's going to compete in 5 years' time or 3 years' time even, or whether they're going to be a side that competes in the here and now. because the signing of a player like Smith is sort of showing that you want her to develop and you want to compete for titles in 3 years. But spending £1 million on a player like Smith shows that you want to compete in the here and now. So it's a little bit of a difficulty for Arsenal right now, where, I mean, it seems they're focusing on younger players, and I think that is the right decision. I don't think Arsenal's squad is ready to win anything right now. I mean, I know they're Champions League winners, but that didn't come from them being the dominant team, if you get what I mean. They were very good in those games, and they can win individual matches, but there isn't enough consistency there. So I think Arsenal are better off buying players like Olivia Smith, investing in that future. Back now to Silcock. Clark back to Silcock. Looking to progress the ball, and that is a lovely switch to the play to the left-hand side. Fox will win the aerial duel, though. Drops for Mead now. He'll battle away in there, Beth Mead, but it's won back by Mia Enderby. Mead does shift it into Fox. Arsenal now looking to play forwards. Mead brought down there by Woodham, and that will be a free kick to Arsenal. Phil says the shot and the decision are both poor, but sometimes you get away with it. Her ability is clear to see, but she needs to prove on the other stuff to be consistent. That should never beat the keeper. Yeah, and that I completely agree with. But I think to create the space in there is what is really important there from Smith. Yeah, the shot wasn't incredible. That's the thing. But yeah. And that's been Liverpool's problem this season, is a lack of consistency in goal. Now, I think Kirby did really well in that Chelsea game, albeit Chelsea didn't put enough shots on target. When you know you're playing against a goalkeeper like Kirby, sometimes you've just got to take shots because you know you've got a good opportunity. I thought Borgraf looked better when she came in, but then Borgraf has had more sort of high-profile errors where she just like overcommits for a ball or something like that. I mean, she gave away a penalty in the London City game, and that was absolutely farcical. Ruben Moy. Into Caldente. Does really well there to shrug off the challenge of Nagano. Driving it forwards now, looking for options. Shifts it wide into Mead, who's one-on-one with Woodham. What can Mead make happen here? Looks to deliver it. Not a bad ball, but that is headed away. And that will drop to Taylor Hines, who'll look to recycle it. Now Smith. Catley through the lines into Caldente, who bounces it back. Now Hines. Catley has to play it in behind, and that will bounce through and out of play for a Liverpool goal kick. Betty with a good question in the live chat. Welcome to the stream. He says, who do you think needs to be cycled out? I think for me, it's difficult with Arsenal because there's a lot of sentimental value obviously with players, and I think the leadership shift will be really interesting to see how they handle that. I think for me, Frida Marnham is a player who on her day is so good for Arsenal but just isn't consistent enough. And I think they can improve in that position. I think Beth Mead is a player who I would be inclined to move on just because she's on a fairly high wage, and I think there are better, and I don't want Arsenal to get blocked in the market. Well, I would happily let them, but I mean, from an Arsenal perspective, you don't want to get blocked in the market out of making a move. Like, we're talking about Trinity Rodman right this week, and you look at Arsenal right now and say, well, they don't need another winger. But for me, Rodman is such an upgrade on Mead, not just because she's a better player now, but because I think she'll give you another 7 years. Whereas Mead, you're probably getting another 2 seasons at the top level, tops, I would say. So yeah, I think Mead is one who could move on next summer. I think Kim Little was a player who should probably move on at the end of the season. I think Kim Little is a fantastic player, has been a brilliant servant for Arsenal, but I do think she is a little too slow on the ball. And that has cost them at times this season in that pivot. That's a pass back from Liverpool, which they're somehow going to get away with. Not sure how they've got away with that one. Arsenal played the ball long. Silcock has passed it back to her goalkeeper, and it's not been given as a pass back. Utterly bizarre. I mean, that is a rookie error from Kirby, and that should be punished. Yeah, that's a clear back pass. Stunned that's not been given by the referee. It's one of those where the only excuse you can make there is that happens so rarely that you don't even think about it, I guess. But that is blatant from Silcock. Even she put her hands on her face. She realised she'd made the mistake, and the ref's just not given it. I mean, that's as good as catching a criminal red-handed. There we go. Refereeing standards in the WSL. Phil says, Mead's our best winger. Still so productive and reliable. Money isn't an issue, so no need to sell her. Maybe. I think the problem for Arsenal is, I would say, get rid of Kelly and Ford. But obviously, I reckon a lot of Arsenal fans absolutely love Chloe Kelly. And she only joined last summer, so that's not realistically going to happen. I think Ford's a very good player. I think she just lacks consistency, massively lacks consistency. That's the issue. Mead is the easiest winger to shift for Arsenal. Here's Fox. Looks to play out to the left-hand side. Now Olivia Smith wants to strike it again into Russo in the box. And that is cleared away, well, by Clark, who was quick on the scene. But Arsenal have been all over Liverpool in the opening 25 minutes here. Shamadizzle says basically the older players need to be pushed out. Yeah. I'd also say I don't think Ruben Moyes is at the level for me. I think you've got Williamson there, you've got Katie Reid. I would move on probably either Ruben Moy or Cadena and then bring in another centre-half, probably a left centre-half they need, Arsenal. Played short back into the box now from Mead. Chance from this, headed away by Clark. Back now to Hines, who hooks it towards the back post. It's headed away well by Liverpool, but they're really struggling at the moment. Liverpool to get the ball out of their own penalty area, get the ball out of their own half, really. Ball shifted out to the left-hand side for Arsenal. Here's Caldente. Tries to play it through the lines, dispossessed though. Cox does well to play it into McLean. And then it's just smashed forwards by Clark. And that's been the problem for Liverpool at the moment. They can't really get a foot on the ball. Everything's been panicky. Everything's been rushed. That's a fantastic tackle from Evans, recovering back in there. Goes to ground, but wins the ball cleanly off Fox. That's out for a throw. Shamadil says, Mead declined London City last summer. Arsenal willing to sell. Yeah. I think there's too much sentimentality with Arsenal. You know, I look back at last summer and I think... I was quite critical of Taylor Hines at the time. I think she's done quite well this season. But I think for Arsenal, could they not have got a left-back that kicks them on to the next level? I mean, personally, now that you've got Hines, I would move on McCabe. But that's never going to happen. I just think if Arsenal were incredibly ambitious, it would have been someone like Kep that came in, rather than someone like Hines. But all into the area, and that is over the bar and out for a goal kick. But then again, you've got to convince Kep that she's either going to be first choice, and then you've got McCabe who's unhappy, or so you do need backups. But yeah, I think I'd have rather Arsenal brought in a top quality left back than a solid backup, personally. But that's because I don't rate McCabe incredibly highly. I know there will be people that do, but I don't think she's an incredible defender. I think she's a fantastic crosser of the football, but I don't think she's a very good defender. Ball long from Clark, cut out again by Hines. But yeah, I think last summer, Smith was a fantastic signing looking for the future. I don't think Kelly was a fantastic signing, in my opinion. I think Kelly has some great qualities. I think she can be a huge game changer, but I think she's always lacked consistency, and I think she's incredibly one-dimensional, which is fine if you're Olivia Smith and you are, 21, 22, and you've played 1 year of senior WSL football. But when you're Kelly and you're, what is she now, 27, I want to say? I might be wrong on that. But you'd expect Kelly to be more refined by now. Great hold up there from Alessia Russo. Shifts it to the left-hand side. Here is Olivia Smith. Looking to make something happen. Silcock, though, latches on that loose touch and clears it away. But again, Liverpool have had such little of the ball. I want to find the statistic now for possession because they've barely touched it. That's been their problem. Half an hour here, and they just haven't got on the ball at all, Liverpool. They haven't looked to make anything happen. It's just been so negative. 35% possession so far, and in terms of opposition half, 6 completed passes in the opposition half, Liverpool. They've just won the ball hard at the pitch here, though. Olsen in behind. Chance for Liverpool. They could punish here, and they will punish. Bader Olsen breaks in behind. And as I say that, Liverpool can't make passes in the opposition half. They turn it over, and they do make those passes. Arsenal, once again, caught out, playing out from the back. And Liverpool capitalise completely. Bader Olsen in the right position. Fires it home well. And it was Buildup trying to send it long. Russo tried to chest it down. It fell, though, into possession of Liverpool. It's a fantastic ball in behind from Enderby and a great chance for Olsen, which she takes excellently. Arsenal 1, Liverpool 1. And this is the problem. Before that moment, Liverpool had 6 completed passes in Arsenal's half. 35% of the ball. Hadn't put a shot yet. Hadn't had a shot, let alone one on target. And yet somehow, after half an hour, they're level in this game. That's been Arsenal's problem this season. They haven't killed Liverpool off, and they've given them that opportunity. And now they lead in, or draw, now they're level in this game. Is a throw in there, I believe, or a free kick. The screen's gone incredibly blurry in that moment. Bader Olsen's goal has broken my Wi-Fi. And the reaction in the live chat, as you'd expect. Olsen on fire. Catley playing Olsen on. Criminal from Catley, says Phil. Yeah, Arsenal did step up there. But also sending it long when you don't have a striker who's great at duels is such an odd choice. Russo's great at hold-up, but that was so high that she was competing for the aerial duel and Clark was able to come in there and win it. But Arsenal playing some nice football now. Ball in behind. Russo makes the run off the shoulder, but it's going to be Woodham who gets back in there. Now Liverpool can build out from the back. Here's Kirby. And yeah, that was criminal. I mean, Phil mentioned that centre-back partnership for Arsenal. They've struggled. They've really missed Williamson this season, but I also think they need a proper left centre-half. I mean, Catley has done well, was incredible for them last season. That's poor there from Olivia Smith, brings it down, but can't quite find the pass. Back to Hines. And Liverpool have got something to fight with now. They've got belief back. And that is the biggest problem now for Arsenal, is suddenly Liverpool believe that there's something on the cards in this game. The first 30 minutes, they looked hapless, Liverpool. They looked devoid of confidence. They looked devoid of belief, especially after that Smith goal. That goal rejuvenates them. I mean, Bader Olsen has been a proper poacher for Liverpool this season, but she's been so clinical. I was analysing her shots the other day. I can't remember why I was doing that. I think it was for a video I'm working on, but you know, she doesn't take many, but the way that she's able to finish off chances, the technique where she opens up the body and slots it around the goalkeeper. Such a good marksman, and has proven it once again there. Arsenal win the ball high up the pitch. It's quick though from McLean to get back in there and knock it out of play. Moy out to the right hand side with Fox. And now Mead. Russo can't quite squeeze that pass forward. Turned over by Woodham, who looks to knock it down the line. Here's Olsen. Great hold up from the Swede. Shifts it back to McLean. Now Woodham. Evans. McLean. And now Clark. I have to say, I think Liverpool played into Arsenal's hands here with the three back. It's just not working. And also the way that Arsenal press, they're pretty much nullifying Liverpool. Because Liverpool got a midfield 2 and a back 3. But Arsenal press with a front 2 and then a midfield 2. So they're able to go player for player quite comfortably. Now the wing-backs are actually pushing up higher for Liverpool and it's causing issues. Because here's Mia Enderby driving the ball forwards. Shifts it across to Olsen in the box and Moy gets back in there and Mead clears it away. But look how the momentum has shifted in this match. Liverpool couldn't break into the Arsenal half. Now they're playing liquid football. They just broke down that left-hand side with a fantastic combination. And if Enderby was a little bit more decisive in the box, perhaps Liverpool would have found the lead. And that is so worrying now for Arsenal. How are they in this position again? Silcock. Happy to sit on the ball. Now Clark. And the difference is now Liverpool are level in this game. They're playing football. Silcock really composed there in possession. Clark again. Arsenal's front four putting Liverpool under the cosh. McLean there drops into the half space well, and now she can look to use this space to drive forward. Shifts it across into Cornelia Capox, who's inverted well. Now out wide. Chance now for Liverpool. Parry into Silcock, puts it into the box. Catley heading it away. Going to drop again for Silcock, who supported the attack well. Parry. Silcock now shifting back into the back three. Clark. Now Nagano. Here's Silcock. There's a lot of fluidity in this Liverpool system all of a sudden. Parry. Now Silcock again. Looks to lift it in behind, and Catley in the foot race with Olsen. And Catley does do well there, just to get in front of her, get between Olsen and the ball, and shield it out of play. But yeah, what Liverpool have changed suddenly is that there is there's a lot more positional rotations. There is a lot more of Liverpool trying to get into positions to actually receive the ball and play through Arsenal's structure. And that's the problem with pressing with a front four at times, Liverpool. Or Arsenal, sorry. They press with the front four. Is that once that's bypassed, you're completely outnumbered. Here's Russo. Mead, back now to Fox. Phil says Arsenal just need to address the main issues. The older players aren't the issue. It's the ones who aren't good enough and never have been. Yeah, I think there's naturally a bit of overlap there. And I think the two aren't mutually exclusive. I think that, Arsenal need to make their squad younger. I think they've got the oldest team in the WSL, average age of 28, I believe. Like 28 and 34 days or something like that, I saw as a statistic. Here's Enderby. Chance now again for Liverpool. Cuts inside, takes aim, and it's blocked. Out wide now for Parry, who lashes one at goal. It's blocked by Hines. And it drops to Smith on the edge now, who looked to drive it forward. This game's suddenly become very transitional. Evans makes a strong tackle to dispossess Russo, and Liverpool back on the ball. We saw last season how much Villa struggled with an ageing squad. This season they've had a much younger squad, and they've played really well, Villa, and just been incredibly unlucky. And a lot of the time, actually, their young forwards aren't firing. So potentially you look at it that way. But equally, they have had Nunes out for a long period. I mean, Everdy Salmon's missed about 50 open goals at this point. So, yeah, a lot can be said for refreshing the squad. Villa moved on in the summer. Players like Jordan Nobbs, who, despite being a very good WSL player, was quite old, and they've brought in a lot of. They've brought in some very decent, experienced players. Someone like Lynn Vilms has got a lot of experience, but is still a lot younger, a lot fitter. And they've refreshed the squad. I mean, look at Lucia Kendall. She's come into that midfield for Villa and looked phenomenal this season. Rachel Daly's playing a slightly different role. I think that's definitely benefiting her. And I think that's kind of what Arsenal need to do. Refresh the squad, bring in some younger talent. I think that's exactly what they looked to do over the summer with Smith. But they need more of that. And January's going to be so important for Arsenal. Here is Smith. Now to Caldente. Back to Ruben Moy. Ball forwards. Marnham receives it well. Enderby will work hard though, and she gets the ball ahead of Fox. And then Mead gets back in there. It's a strong challenge, and it's deemed as a free kick, which Arsenal are not happy about at all. A little bit of a soft one, I have to say. I thought it was either going to be... It's going to be a throw either way. It's very difficult to see who actually made... It is a throw, actually, for Liverpool. I don't think that's a bad decision. It's very difficult to see who that came off. Here's Silcock. Goes back now to Clark. So we are approaching half time, 40 minutes almost on the clock. Game's still tied at 1-1, though if Kirby's going to play risky pass like that, it might not be for much longer. Liverpool get away with it though. And now they'll look to play it in behind, and that is really lifted, and that's going to run through. Well, actually, Borba's not come off her line. Here's Hines, back to Borba. That was weird, but Arsenal will play out. Here's Cooney cross. Lots of space for the Australian midfielder to drive into, and actually by doing that, Borba, that did invite Liverpool to press a lot higher. We should have created a lot of space for Arsenal, but they've immediately wasted that with a misplaced pass. Here's Silcock. Phil says we need a midfielder and a centre-back who can defend and be combative. I would say for me, Arsenal need a left centre-half who is naturally left-footed and naturally a centre-back, because they don't have any of those. I would say they need a defensive midfielder because they don't have any of those. And, they need Williamson back. Outside of that, they'll probably be okay. I think the shift towards this style of play this season for Arsenal has been interesting. I don't think it's necessarily worked. I think last season they were very transitional and that suited this squad. I think this season they've gone to a very possession-based or possession-oriented style of play, and I don't think it's really worked. I think you've got too many players who aren't strong enough on the ball to sort of play that system. I think especially without a Williamson, because what Williamson gives you is an ability, if you are under pressure, to knock that ball in behind and sort of relieve some of that pressure. Without that, they have found themselves dispossessed too easily, I think, in their own third. Caldente receives well with her back to goal. Spins and finds Marnham, who shifts it out wide to Mead. This is much more positive from Arsenal. Mead needs some support though on this right-hand side. Trying to shift it inside, and that's a forced ball. And Evans will get it clear. Drops to Ruben Moy. Shamadil says, what game are you streaming tomorrow? Unfortunately, we are not live tomorrow. It's annoying we watched the double header, but this is the problem as well with the schedule. We've got something we can't avoid in the morning, and then that means there's, because all the games are sort of all at the same time, we won't be able to catch a stream. But we will be live on Monday, and we'll be live actually throughout this week. So yeah, join us for that. Cooney cross. Back to Ruben Moy. Ball lifted in behind. Mariano Caldente will try and get there. Clark gets back in and clears it away. Now Smith. Goes back to Hines. Ruben Moy. Shifts it wide into Fox. And now back into Ruben Moy. And across to Catley. Plays it forwards into Caldente, holds onto the ball well in this central area. Now looking to create space for the shot. Gives it wide into Mead. Marnham on the overlap. Now uses her teammate. Ball across the box. And that has met no one in an Arsenal shirt, despite them being a few in the penalty area. Here is Fox up in support. Now Mead. Shifts it towards Marnham in the half space. Kirby out well though. And that's shielded back to her by Evans, and Liverpool back in possession. Now look to build out from the back. Kirby into Clark. Back now to Kirby. Woodham. Bounces one off McLean. Now Evans will lift that in behind, looking for Bette Olsen. And it's Ruben Moy. Back now to Catley. Ruben Moy. Caldente. Nice turn in there, shifts it into Mead. And there is a foul as Caldente was caught. And we'll see again that strike from Olivia Smith. Firing it into the bottom corner. Kirby though should have done a lot better. Ball in behind now for Arsenal. And it'll be Rousseau who'll work hard to get there. Now squares up. to Evans. Ball into the box, punched away by Kirby. And that goes for an Arsenal throw. And that was a little erratic from Faye Kirby there. I think she could have just caught it. Makes the bizarre decision to punch that away. Almost went for a corner, but it was seen out well for a throw-in. And Arsenal now building from the left-hand side. Marnham into Caldente, who lays it off for Cooney Cross, who could have had a shot. Does now squeeze the opportunity for the shot, and it's blocked well by Clark. Olsen does well to win it, knocks it down to Kapok. She's dragged down though in the challenge. There'll be a minute of additional time in this first half. To be fair, the ball hasn't really been out of play outside of the 2 goals that we've seen. I think that is a fair reflection of this first 45 minutes. Not any stoppages. So, Kirby now will look to play out from the back. Ball goes long. Headed on in there by Olsen. Hines will get there. And she'll knock it up the pitch. And that's going to drop for Nagano. Goes all the way back to Kirby. Now Clark and Liverpool just looking to slow this down. Not long left in this first half. Ball goes over the top. It's headed away. That'll be headed out of play. And with that, here's the half-time whistle. Half-time here at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Liverpool 1. A strong start to the game for the Gunners, who dictated the early tempo. But as half-time comes in, it is level. There's a mistake at the back. Caught Arsenal out. And Beta Olsen was there to capitalise fully. And so it's Arsenal 1, Liverpool 1 at the break. Shall we do this after time? Phil says it's only one person who built the squad. It's not only one person who built the squad. The entire hierarchy is to blame. Absolutely. I think Arsenal's recruitment needs to be better. But let's talk about that first 45 minutes, because I think to start, Arsenal were incredibly strong. I think the way they were able to dictate the tempo, the way that they were really penning Liverpool in those early stages, they played with intensity. They looked sharp on the ball, did Arsenal. I think that they were then able to use that platform to score the opening goal. I think the problem then came after that. They made one mistake, and that gave Liverpool belief, and that brought Liverpool right back into the game. So that has completely shifted the first half momentum, because before that, Liverpool couldn't do anything. They couldn't get out of their own half, let alone create opportunities. But that goal gifted them a route back into the game. And to be fair to Liverpool, they grabbed it with both hands, and they have looked a lot more comfortable, looked a lot more confident on the ball since that moment. So, full credit to them for being able to grasp that opportunity. But it shifted things. 56% possession for Arsenal in that first half. But before the goal, it was, I think, 65-35. So it completely shifted the way that I think Liverpool viewed the half, because suddenly they looked a lot more confident. They were playing out from the back a lot more comfortably. They were playing through the lines with a lot more belief, and they were creating opportunities. They didn't have a shot before Olsen scored. They've had 3 now. And yeah, I think, both sides one big chance for each. Both sides are 1 goal each. I think it's fair. I think the scoreline's a fair reflection of that first half. Arsenal, it's the same old story really, of a lot of the ball and not a lot of substance. They haven't created loads of chances. They've had quite a few shots, 7 shots in that first half, XG of 0.63. The goal came from a 0.02 XG opportunity, miles out from the goal. I think Arsenal's best chance of the half was Lotte with Moyes' header at the back post. And, on the measure of opportunities, that probably should have gone in, and Smith probably shouldn't. So I think that balances itself out. But outside of that, they didn't really create anything of note in that first half. Arsenal was a lot of shooting from outside the area, not a lot of shots sort of in the most dangerous positions. yeah, they've struggled, I think, Arsenal to create clear-cut opportunities. And that's been the story of their season, really, is that lack of decisiveness and that lack of clear-cut chances. And Liverpool have had, Liverpool are the weaker side in this game, but they played very defensive football, made it difficult for Arsenal to create opportunities, and then they've sprung on the counter and they've taken their one chance of the game. And that's what you've got to do when you're a side like Liverpool in the position they're in. That's exactly how they've got to play. But yeah, I think it's been a first half that many could have seen coming. And I think the way that these two sides have played this season and definitely recently, I think this is a half that you could have seen coming. But Ryan Margeron says Arsenal getting shown up by so-called smaller teams. Well, yes, once again, Arsenal dictating the tempo, dictating the ball, but not being decisive and not being clinical and not creating enough opportunities in the final third. You look at their results this season, Arsenal, and they've not created the chances for those forward players. I think Russo hasn't really had the ball in the penalty area, had a chance to score so far. A lot of Russo's touches have been, bringing others into the game as that sort of false nine or hold-up striker, or she has to make runs into the channels to try and get involved. But it's just been that kind of half where they haven't really had the chances. And when you're in a patch of form like Arsenal are, they beat Real Madrid in their last outing, but the draw to Tottenham before that, the loss to Bayern before that, the draw to Chelsea before that, and losses earlier in the season to Lyonnais, to City, and then the draws of Villa and United. When you've had all those results, it's very difficult to pick yourself back up off the canvas. Arsenal have beaten the really poor sides in the league. I think what Liverpool have shown today is that they're not as weak as a West Ham. They're not as weak as a Leicester or a London City. They're a side who, at least defensively, can be very good and are capable of breaking well, despite the fact they're bottom of the league and things look desperately difficult for Liverpool at this stage. I don't think that that's been a fair reflection of how good a team they are. But Arsenal can't. That's not really an excuse for Arsenal's performance. While Liverpool have made themselves very difficult to break down, Liverpool should have found a route to do it, but they haven't so far. That's been the problem. Smith's goal, as I say, she rides the contact well, dodges the challenge as well. The strike, it's not bad technique. She drives good power, I think, through the ball, but it's probably the wrong decision. And she makes it too savable, I think, for Kirby, but Kirby obviously doesn't save it. And that has made the difference. It gave Arsenal an early platform. It rewarded that early domination. But as I say, this moment here, ball goes long. Russo does win that initial knockdown, but no one wins a second ball for Arsenal. Catley there, got to be more disciplined. She rules everyone onside with how deep she is. She has to step up with the rest of the defence, and she doesn't. And Liverpool fully capitalise. Absolutely deserve credit for that, fully capitalising. That second ball, they jump on really effectively. And that's what makes the opportunity. Woubenmoy steps up. And the reason she steps up is that she expects Catley to step up as well. And again, that's got to be better communicated across the back line. Are they looking at whether that's hit Nagano's arm? I don't think it really... obviously if it has hit, that should have been disallowed, but I don't think it really matters. Olsen does really well in this position again. Opens up the shot, strikes across the keeper. Really tidy finish. And Liverpool did really well to capitalise on that chance. I think after that then, they deserved to draw, because after that moment, Arsenal really struggled to play out and Liverpool started to believe a lot more, and that shifted the momentum of the game. We saw Liverpool, some really nice combinations. I think what I loved was how we saw players like McLean dropping into pockets, into half spaces. We saw Nagano dropping deep to receive the ball and being a little bit more of a conductor for Liverpool. I think everything shifted for the Reds after that moment. And they made life very difficult for Arsenal towards the end of that first half. It's got to be a bit of a reset, I think, for Arsenal. Go back to how they're playing in the opening moments. I think they've still got to be more decisive. They've still got to be more creative in the final third. I think for me they need to push Caldente higher, but the problem is, who do you put in that middle? If Little is fit to play 45, I would sub her on now. I don't think it's necessarily the right decision though with her fitness. So I think, though, once they get to sort of the 70th minute, I would bring Little on for Marnham, push Caldente higher up the field, and allow her to be creative in the final third. Ryan says, Arsenal's problems, other teams are improving. I think that is how you... I think Arsenal have other issues. I think that's how you can broadly categorise Chelsea's problems. And people talk about Chelsea getting worse, one person was worse than Hayes. I think the problem is the league. Not only has the ceiling got higher in the league in terms of those top teams have got a lot better, but I think the bottom... there's no, like, sort of what you call whipping boys, a team you know you can beat, or at least that's a term from the men's game, whipping boys. The teams you know you can beat quite comfortably. There's no Crystal Palace in the league this season. There's no Bristol City. Every game's a tough one, apart from probably West Ham right now, but they're a side who are still very capable of providing an upset. And, you know, Leicester are very difficult to break down. They're able to play very good defensive football. Liverpool at the moment, very difficult to break down for those top sides. The way they play against the top teams is very difficult to break down. I think, you know, you're starting to look up the league, and you've got your Brightons, you've got your Villas. They're very capable of upsets. So, yeah, I think it's... I think the whole league has got a lot stronger. That is just going to push those top teams to be even better. You know, they have to invest more. They have to work harder. So, yeah, this could be very interesting to see how that affects things. I think it will push the WSL teams to be a lot stronger. Whether that makes them stronger in Europe will be interesting to see. Obviously, Arsenal Champions League winners last season. I think you've got Chelsea and Arsenal this season who'll be looking to go very deep into the competition. I think Chelsea in particular will be hoping that this can be their year. I think that will continue that trend. But you look, I mean, the WSL is only getting more and more investment. You think leagues like the Liga F, where Barca are having to cut costs. I mean, their squad is so thin now. No Bon Mati, she's out till the end of the season, or at least April. She'll probably be fit to play Chelsea, whether that is the final or the semi-finals. She's always fit to play Chelsea. No Ona Batier for the next few weeks. I think Kika Nazareth is out. That's the key difference. Anyway, that is a long way from this game, but I'm talking on a tangent. But Lloyd says, regardless of personnel and transfers, Arsenal far too often shown a lack of passion, energy and tempo. Do you expect WSL's biggest crowd to keep coming back? This is what I pondered a few weeks ago. You know, do Arsenal... I think it was on the... So either when we talk about attendances and the TV issue, or it was when we were talking on the last Arsenal stream. But... No, will the fans keep coming back if the performances aren't exciting? Because the results might be there for Arsenal, at least against the weaker sides. It hasn't really been against the top sides this season. That is also a problem. But if the performances aren't interesting, if it's not exciting, is that a problem? I think Arsenal will be okay. You know, I think a lot of, as much as there is a new audience for Arsenal, I think a lot of Arsenal women's support does come from the men's team. And so I think you've got a lot of football fans there who, you know, understand going to games through thick and thin. So I think they will be broadly okay. But yeah, I don't think it'll dramatically decrease Arsenal's attendances, but they have got to be mindful, because I don't think they'll be, if they aren't winning things, I don't think they'll be breaking the records for attendances. But equally, while they still have Lionesses in their team and Arsenal are still successful, and England, are still successful, I think that will balance it out anyway. I think there are still a lot of people that will go to Arsenal games because they love England players. They love Leah Williamson. They love Chloe Kelly. They love Alessia Russo. So I still think they'll be okay for that reason. But yeah, I don't think performances would see them drop the attendance too greatly. Perhaps they don't sell out, though. That'll be the big difference. I mean, the only games they really sell out are those top games anyway. But yeah, I don't think they would, if they are consistently losing those big games and dropping off, then that would be a problem. But I think they'll be absolutely fine. Then that's something we need to worry about just yet. Yulia says, where do you watch the game? I'm in Switzerland. Not sure in Switzerland. If you're in the UK, it is on Sky Sports. If you're outside the UK, it'll be whatever your WSL televised broadcaster is. Most are paid options, unless you're in certain countries where it's available on YouTube. If it's not available on YouTube, then you have to assume it is a paid broadcaster. I'm not sure on all the specific ones, though. And obviously different countries have different situations. In the UK, we've got a few different broadcasters with Sky and BBC, and then other countries, there is maybe only one, or maybe even more, I'm not sure. But yeah, different situations, depending on where you're in. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll be able to find out. Feels as the Arsenal crowd have been there for years, they aren't all new fans. Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. I think the majority of the fan base stays, but yeah, obviously you do have a few. You know, there is a big majority at the moment, or a big portion, I should say, of women's football fans who are sort of fair weather fans. But you know, I still think you're going to see okay attendances. Anyway, should be getting underway for the second half soon. I'd be intrigued if Arsenal make any changes. I think they probably should make a change. But that depends on how fit Kim Little is. I'd expect to see Williamson at some point today. I don't think that'll be until at least 70 minutes. I think, you know, she's been out for a while now. Kim Little's only been out a few weeks, so I think you could probably see a little bit more of her, but I don't think she's going to be fit to play 45, so we'll have to see. If she is fit to play 45, I'll bring her on, I'll push Callum-Say higher, I'll play a little Cooney cross pivot, get Callum-Say in a more correct position, but I don't think that's going to happen. For whatever reason, Sagers is reluctant to use Callum-Say in a higher, more creative role. Lloyd says, my point was more about a lack of respect. I'm a gooner, but I'd much rather watch City at the moment. Crowds will stick, but don't take it for granted. Yeah, interesting point. City are very fun to watch, I will admit that. I think, you know, that the way they play is very entertaining because they move the ball quickly. It's very transitional and they can be open at times, but they have got away with that for most of this season so far. And yeah, they've got loads of very exciting to watch forwards. So yeah. Any changes? Doesn't look like it for Arsenal. That looks like the same 11. And as for Liverpool, I think the same situation. I mean, to be fair, for Liverpool, I'm not sure what changes they can make. A very thin bench today for the visitors. So not a lot of options for them. And to be fair, I mean, they got through their last game against Chelsea without making a sub. Will they do the same today? Let's find out. The second half is about to get underway. Russo from the middle knocks it back. And we're underway here at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Liverpool 1 with 45 to play in this early WSL kickoff. Enderby wins that back, but it's out of play. And that will be an Arsenal throw on the far side with Emily Fox. Back now to Wooben Moy. Here's Fox. Wooben Moy knocks it down the line. Mead touches inside well into Marnham, who makes the run off the shoulder. Could she slot that ball through? Doesn't quite come immediately. Shifts it into Hines, who tries to play it forward. And that's very much a forced pass there from Hines. And it's then sent forwards by Parry. Cooney cross into Marnham, who has to knock it a distance back to Catley. She's under pressure in there. And now back to Wooben Moy. Fox. Wide into Mead. Tries to touch it down the line. That's intercepted back to Mead. Clark does well to win the ball back in there. And now Fox knocks it all the way back to Borba. Cooney cross. Back now to Borba. And now Cooney cross again. Shifts out wide into Taylor Hines. Catley. Lifting it forwards, headed away by Silcock. Now Smith. Manages to find Marnham. Silcock sends it forward. Nice touch in there from Capox. McLean. Parry tries to shift it back to a teammate. And that comes off the Arsenal player out for a throw. Good pressure from Smith. But now Liverpool can build out from this throw-in, which they are in no rush to take. Be interesting to see how Liverpool manage this second half against Chelsea. I think what they did very well was they shut Chelsea down. They went a lot more defensive. They dropped that line. At times they had all of their 11 players in their own penalty area. I think that worked really well. Be interesting to see whether they do the same today. What the best players against Arsenal, whether they believe they can get a winner. They're playing quite positive football right now. And here is Fuka Nagano driving it forwards. Now it is with Enderby. Back to Nagano, who will cross it into the box. Ruben Moy will get there. And that is out for a Liverpool throw. A Liverpool corner, sorry. keep the pressure on now, the visitors. And it'll be Parry who goes over to take. And so, early chance in this second half then for Liverpool. Woodham's going to make that subtle jog to be the short option. But it looks like Parry will put this in the box. Quite the delay here for the taker. Does now step up over it, and she's going to loop it in towards the back post. Headed back across the box. Chance now for Liverpool. Drops in there. Can they touch it past Borba? No, they can't. It's cleared back up in the air. Silcock tries to keep it alive, but it's going to drop for Mead. And she'll now hook it clear, and Arsenal looking to break away quickly. Here is Caldente switching the play. And that is massively over here. And Smith unable to get there. That will be and Liverpool throw. That should have been better, really, from Mariona Caldente. Shifted inside well, but that pass was awful. As Shamadizzle says. Parry. Back now to Silcock. Here's Kirby. Not a great clearance. Drops now for Arsenal in the final third. Pass forward into Russo. Chance for Arsenal. That's a big miss from Alessia Russo. And Liverpool caught playing out from the back here. And she really should capitalise on that. Great touch to take it past the defender. Missing the mark though. And that's got to be finished by Alessia Russo. Liverpool building out again. Kirby lifting out to the right-hand side. That's going to drop to Fox unopposed. Now Cooney cross, and Arsenal can use this. Back to Catley. Shifts it down the line. Here's Smith. Now on to Taylor Hines. Hines into the box. Chance for Russo again. And that's a good save from Kirby. But Russo, another big opportunity. And that really should be 2 goals for Russo. In a matter of less than a minute, I think. It's just that one. The other one, it felt she forced it too much. Wanted to get right in the corner and probably put too much on it. This was almost too careless, I will say. There wasn't much intention behind it. It was just sort of an innocuous shot. Ball in, doesn't come to anything. That's cleared away well. Fox will try and keep it alive. Hines now slipping it through the lines. Russo will get there, but it's won back well and cleared away by Evans. This says, I think Russo is lacking in confidence. Yeah, absolutely. I think last season everything she touched turned to goals. This season it's not been the case for Russo, and I think that is difficult. Strikers go through patches of form, peaks and troughs. At the moment, it's just not Russo's moment. I think only is it 4 goals for her this season, and I think 2 were against West Ham, which are still goals, but they count for a little less in my book. No, that game in particular, West Ham went super aggressive for no reason right at the end, and Arsenal, I think, scored 2 goals right at the death, and it's something like 5-1 that game in the end. Liverpool in possession here is Silcock. Shifts it forward well. McLean under pressure, squeezes it out to Evans. Nice pass forward, and they can use this now, Liverpool. Enderby pokes it through. Chance for Olsen, makes the run off the shoulder. That's brilliant from Fox. Gets back in there and is fouled in the process. Great recovery run though from Emily Fox. They probably should do better here. Enderby does really well to drive that ball forwards. That shift in behind. Olsen uses her body well to try and get around Fox, but Fox just stands her ground. Smart play from the right back. He got back in there well. Ball in behind. Here's Russo. Hines. Russo. Lovely give and go out on the left-hand side. That's overhit though from Russo. She tried to shift it back down the line into the runner Hines. She's really struggling. That is 3 big moments now. This is nice interplay. Hines shifts it inside. Russo tries to go back down the line, but that is so overhit. Hines never going to get there. So it's a Liverpool goal kick. And though, to be fair, Liverpool's goal kicks have been Arsenal's best chances in the second half. So this one a little more convincingly smashed away. And that will drop to Ruben Moy. Fox. Pass inside to Cooney Cross. Back to Fox, who makes the run forwards. Wants to go down the line. It's going to be forced backwards though. And here is Kyra Cooney Cross. Now Caldente. Back to Cooney Cross. Caldente again. Under pressure here. Does go back to Ruben Moy. And now Borba. Slides that through the lines well under Caldente. Now Ruben Moy. Looks to send it down the line. Now back to Caldente. And now back to Ruben Moy. And my picture has finally stopped being ridiculously blurry. Catley. Into Clara Cooney Cross. Back to Steph Catley. Fox looks to lift it in behind. And now it's Freedom Arnhem, who shifts it back inside into Mead. Now in the penalty area. Blocked well by Evans. Nice move though for Arsenal. Shifted through the lines well. Mead in the box. Mead's been quiet so far this second half, but just got in the right position there. And Evans it did well. Marnham shifts it inside. Mead takes a touch well to get out of her feet. Takes aim. Evans in the right position. And that's important because Kirby probably overcommitted. Mead lifts it towards the back post. Shot on target. Saved well and pushed away by Kirby. And then it's cleared by Parry. Hines. Ruben Moy. Now Cooney Cross. Back to Taylor Hines. Just seems to have shifted. Russo holds the ball up well. Smith can't quite keep hold of it, and that's cleared away well by Silcock. He shifted. First half, Arsenal couldn't create many chances. Second half, they're creating chances. They're just not taking them. This is another one for Russo. Probably should go in. She does well, though. Can't blame her too much for that. She's operating in a tight pocket, and she gets the shot on target. Kirby does well. Shamador says, Taylor's playing well. Why would you take her out? I was about to be very confused, but here come the subs. And I'm guessing, based on that comment, that is Taylor Hines making way. That is McCabe, Blackstenius and Ford. I think. Albeit my picture is incredibly blurry. That is indeed it's a very interesting choice of subs. So that is Taylor Hines making way for McCabe. That is Mead for Ford. These are all like for like, apart from, I don't think Russo's coming off, so I think it'll be Freedom Marnham making way for Blackstenius. So an interesting triple change. 2 like for likes, and then 2 strikers on the pitch. Fair enough. I mean, that is interesting. I think that's very interesting. Phil says, I fancy Russo to get one. She's doing everything right until the finish. Yeah, true. It's just when is it going to go in? Game's still level then, as we approach the hour mark. And well, 80% of people in the live chat predicting Arsenal to win at the moment. The spoils would be shared, though Arsenal are looking stronger than Liverpool in this second half. The question is that goal going to come? Well, a triple change to try and make that happen. Caldente does well there to get away from Nagano, but Nagano, great challenge to win it back. McLean into Olsen. Now Kapox tries to poke it through the lines. Wooben Moy thought she'd caught her there, but it's deemed a clean tackle. Ball slipped in behind. Chance now. Black Sands making the run off the shoulder. But it's Kirby who will get that. Sharon Dill says Marnham didn't play well. Yeah. I think that is a fair reflection. But yeah, Russo's missed a lot of chances, I think. I understand why they want to keep her on there, because she's doing everything else in her game's, going well. It's just that sort of, there was a pass to Hines that was over here, and then the shots that she's missed. But she's getting in the right positions, it's a big difference, because I think that's been the problem for Russo, is that she's not getting the service in the area. Today's sort of been the opposite of that. She's had the service, she hasn't been able to take the chances. But one high here by Liverpool. Poor pass out from Wooben Moy. Can Liverpool capitalise fully? Kapox, Silcock. Now Nagano, back to Silcock. Back to Nagano. Now Clark. Liverpool trying to progress here. Clark just bouncing off of the defence midfielders. Now Evans. Shifts it wide into Woodham. Goes all the way back now to Clark. Ball down the line. Woodham can't quite keep that in touch. It was an ambitious, lofted pass out to the left-hand side. That'll be an Arsenal throw. Showendell says... Oh, sorry. Yes, Showendell says, thoughts on Stanway to Arsenal free transfer this season? I think they should go for her if she wants to come back to the WSL. Ooh. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think she's not the right profile of midfielder they need. But if Little leaves, then I think they need two midfielders anyway. Because at some point they've got to come to the realisation that they're missing Caldente's creative abilities. McCabe comes inside dangerously. Now shifts it into Fox. Back to Wooben Moy. Now Catley. Ball down the line. Doesn't quite come off there for Arsenal. That's cleared away by Parry. Shaman also saw your video on Rodman. Crazy developments with Commissioner since that video came out. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was interesting. I think that's the problem with the whole league at the moment being owned, obviously, by the NWSL, and then everyone just sort of franchises teams off of them. Is that, it's down to them to sort of commission the deal, but here's Olivia Smith, wants to take on Woodham, knocks it past, and now looks to get in behind. And that is cleared away well. Arsenal look to take it quickly. Here's Mead. Also, Stanway's great, but doesn't solve any of our weaknesses. Yeah, I think if you bring in Stanway and a defence midfielder, I think that can work. I think if Little goes, then I think I think for me, you still need two defence midfielders. Or two midfield options. Depends on how you're going to structure that midfield. So I would bring in Stanway, I'd push Caldente into the 10 or left wing role, and then I would bring in a more defensive midfielder to play in the pivot with Stanway. I mean, really, they should have paid the money for Kira Walsh. And actually, I think Kira Walsh would have been better suited to the Arsenal team than she is the Chelsea team. But there we go. Cooney Cross plays it forward. Evans gets in front of it and clears it away. 62 minutes on the clock. It's time ticking down now for Arsenal. Can they find a winner? There does seem to be more urgency about this Arsenal performance. I think the biggest frustration about the Tottenham game was that even at 0-0, they just kept playing slow football. Ball into McCabe now, into the box. Blocked well by Silcock. Parry will get there then, deal with the rebound. Phil says Flint or Coffee would enable us to keep Mariona and Russo. Yeah, I think both would be nice options. I saw someone wanted me to do an analysis of those American defence midfielders, so I think I'll look to do that at some point. Or at least it's on the list. I've got an endless list of video ideas. Silcock's just been caught there by Ford. And we'll need treatment. Ford just left a leg in there a little late. I think she'll pick up a yellow card for her troubles. Kade says, what's the score for the other games? Hang on, let me just whip out my crystal ball. No, well, tomorrow will be interesting. I think City have got Leicester, haven't they? Leicester have proven difficult for some sides to break down this season. I don't think City will have that. So that is nasty from Ford, by the way. Not intentional, but she's just clamped really on Silcock's leg. A yellow card is definitely a yellow card, but it could have easily been a red. To be fair, it was only the knee on the leg. It should, if it was the studs, that would have been a red, I think. But yeah, nasty one for Silcock. Cad Hay says Sam Coffey has to be a non-negotiable for Arsenal. Probably should be the first in the door. Problem is she's going to go for more than £1 million probably. Arsenal can afford that. Arsenal can absolutely afford that. They were willing to pay £1 million, weren't they, for Walsh before she then went to Chelsea. They paid over £1 million for Smith. I just think if you're bringing in Coffey, there's better options. I think that are the US. You've got. They've got Flint, who I know Phil raves about all the time, and they've got, is it Hutton, I want to say, that is very highly rated. I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal went for one of the younger options, because it very much feels to me Arsenal building for the future still. And I think that is the way they should go. I think Sam Coffey's a very good player, but if I'm not mistaken, she's, I think, 28? Something like that? Might be wrong. I seem to be terrible at remembering players' ages. Here is Catley. Plays the forward pass. That's a nice move down the left-hand side for Arsenal as Caldente picks out McCabe. McCabe now ball in towards the back post. And that will bounce all the way through. Smith working hard to keep this alive. Knocks it back now to Fox. Shifts it down the line to Russo, who's made the wide run into the channel. That shut down, though, by Evans. Cleared away only as far as Ruben Moy, who puts it back into the box. McCabe heads it down. And no one there to meet it on the edge of the area for Arsenal. Catley, though, keeps it alive. Backs the wall defending for Liverpool here. Arsenal trying to create something. Ruben Moy. Out now to Smith. Ball into the box. Chance now. Kirby parries. And that is a big miss from Ford. Got to keep that down. Just leans back and lashes at it. You've got to put that on target. Kirby's miles out of her goal. Does well, Kirby, to come. She overcommits to it, but she does parry it away, and that is so poor from Ford. Dear. Change now for Liverpool, and that is Lucy Parry, who hasn't played loads this season, so I think that's fair. Off and on comes Lundgaard, so you would assume a shift to the 4-3-3 for Liverpool, which is an interesting choice. Ball through now to Russo. It takes that in a stride well. Cross in towards the back post. That's over everyone though. And that is excellent work there from Clark to knock her off. And here come Liverpool. McLean, now Silcock. So yeah, it looks like Capox has dropped into right wing back. And then Lundgaard is playing as the... she's playing as an interior midfielder in midfield 3. It's very interesting for Liverpool. Just trying to piece everything together. Here's Cooney Cross. To be fair, Parry hasn't played loads this season. I think she's been out injured. So it makes sense that she's come off. Here is Cooney crossing the final third. Squeeze it through to Ford, who tries to cut it back. Dealt with well, though, by Clark, who's now under pressure from McCabe. Flicked on well in there by Lundgaard. It's going to drop for Caldente. And it looks like Kim Little is getting ready for Arsenal as well. I didn't mention that, but she was on screen a moment ago. And well, Cooney cross. Not doing anything there to try and keep her place with that shot. Phil says Ford's a good dribbler and battler, but not the best technically. Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think she's a player who's great. I remember last season she was in good goal scoring form and she was really good at meeting the cross at the back post. But they've not really done that enough this season. So yeah, that will be Cooney cross for Kim Little. Another like-for-like change, really. But that will give them a little bit more defensive solidity, potentially free up Caldente to have a bit more of a progressive role. But yeah. Ball smashed forwards. Header from Olsen. Can't quite keep possession for Liverpool, but the second ball is won well by the visitors. Here's Silcock. I have to say, Hannah Silcock has slotted in really well today. Capox and Lucy Parry, to be fair, two players who have barely played for Liverpool this season. Both have come into such a big game and performed really well. Evans, now Clark. Silcock. That's dispossessed. And it's McCabe. Slots it into Caldente. Passes on to Ford, and that's poor. Poor from Caitlin Ford in there again. Breaks into the penalty area. And she seems to be stuck between two decisions. Silcock slips. It's a big opportunity for Arsenal, and they fail to capitalise. Stuck between the choice of squaring it or shooting, and she just seems to slip as well. She goes to strike it. It's a poor effort, and Silcock down with cramp after slipping there. Trying to play out from the back. Feels like someone checked Ford's boots are on the right feet. Yeah. And this would be 20 minutes to go. Still a long way, but this would be a huge drop of points. Again for Arsenal. Being held at home against a Liverpool side who have flattered to deceive this season, albeit I feel they are a lot stronger than the table suggests. It's still a result they can't really afford. It would push them third in the league. They would momentarily climb above Manchester United. But as it stands, United, Tottenham and London City could all move ahead of the Gunners if they win tomorrow. Tottenham, of course, a tricky test up against Aston Villa. London City. I can't remember who they're playing now. Completely forgotten the games. London City face Brighton. That's also a very difficult game, to be fair. Obviously, City play Leicester. Chelsea have got Everton. And then United host West Ham tomorrow. And the fear is, if Arsenal slip to 6th, it's a very difficult position to be in at the halfway point of the season. Catley, lovely ball through into Ford. Big chance for Arsenal again. They've got to utilise this. Russo shifts it wide. And of course, that's where my game is frozen. Here's Smith. Takes aim and it's blocked. Kept alive here by Little. Now wide into Fox. Smith needs some support. Back to Fox down the line. Ball in. That's blocked. That's out for an Arsenal corner. And it's been all Arsenal really in this second half. Liverpool struggled to play out. Struggled to create chances. But Arsenal not capitalising on their opportunities. Ball into the box. That's really poor. Behind everyone in an Arsenal shirt. The problem is there, Arsenal everyone made the same run. Everyone just sort of ran into the box. No one was stood on the edge of the area. If they were, they'd have been alone on the edge of the area. Ruben White. Now Fox. Shifts it wide into Smith. Is that goal going to come for Arsenal? Back now to Fox. Smith again. Here's Fox. Crosses, blocked, shots now. Struck over by McCabe. Didn't do much wrong there, Katie McCabe. Caught it well, but just couldn't quite keep it under the crossbar. But don't mind this. It's not a bad strike at all. Gets a lot of power behind it. Can't quite keep it under the bar. Oh, yeah, that's not far away at all. Caldente with the ball in the box. McCabe caught it just over the bar. Capox tries to shift it round the corner. Falls into possession of Arsenal once again though. Now Borba. Out to the right hand side. Fox, Little. Back to Ruben White. Now Rousseau. Shrugged off too easily there, and that will be it's deemed a foul. I don't think that is fair really. That's a quite soft foul. Taken quickly here for Arsenal. Ruben White. Rousseau, nice turn in there to drive it forwards. Strong challenge, draws drop to Blackstenius though, and McLean gets back in to recover. She's been phenomenal as well today, Kirsty McLean. No, you worried about that Liverpool midfield. No Sam Kerr, no Herbinger. Nagano's a brilliant player, but could she get lost in there? Well, McLean's been brilliant, combative, steely, disciplined. The way that she sort of read the game to understand, where the opportunities are, where those passes are going, and the interception she's made have been excellent. So, yeah, great work from McLean. Slotted into that Liverpool midfield incredibly well. Ball over the top now, looking for Blackstenius. Makes the run off the shoulder, but really good stuff from Evans, and the offside flag is up. Blackstenius went too soon. That is incredibly tight. In fact, I think that's a little harsh on Sina Blackstenius, if anything. But it didn't result in anything, so no harm, no foul, really. Ball forwards for Liverpool. They can't really make anything happen there as Arsenal try and progress. Phil says the frustrating thing is Liverpool haven't been good, we've just been poor again. I think Liverpool are very good at frustrating top teams though. The way they play, or the way Taylor's set up against the top teams this season has made them very difficult to beat. And you look at Liverpool in general and the fact that, where they are in the table, the fact they've struggled for points, you think that's a pretty poor result. It is a poor result, I'm not taking away from that fact, but they drew with Chelsea a few weeks ago for a very similar thing. They were able to frustrate them in the same way. They should have drawn with City. City were fortunate to find a goal right at the end of that game. And again, that could be the difference this season, is that City have players who will step up and find those goals in those moments. So far, I think Chelsea and Arsenal both been way too wasteful. Both missed big opportunities. And particularly Chelsea. I think Arsenal's problem leading up to this game has been chance creation. They've struggled to create chances, struggled to break teams down. But I think in this second half, they've missed so many opportunities. I think Slagers has been at fault for a lot this season, but this game I wouldn't put on her. I don't think the subs were particularly wrong. I thought it was a weird decision to bring off Hines, but McCabe does give you more of an attacking outlet at left back. But yeah, I think in the second half, Arsenal missed so many chances. Alessia Russo, 2 big opportunities. That's criminal, really, at this level. A striker of her quality as well. I mean, we can give excuses, but she's out of form. She's lacking confidence, of course. But a player of her quality, you hold to a high standard. And the chances she's had in this second half, she should have scored. So I don't really put too much blame on Slagers for this result. If they don't indeed find a late winner, there's still time in this match. McCabe knocks it down the line. Back to McCabe. Here's Caldente. And that's out now for an Arsenal throw. Catley. Shaman says Stina hasn't done anything since coming on. No, it's not her kind of game. Smith does well there to take it past the fullback, tries to cut it back, and just fullback does enough there, Woodham, just to get something on it, knock it up in the air. McCabe swings it into the box, not a great delivery, and now Liverpool can look to play out. Woodham knocks it down the line into Enderby. Yeah, it's not Black Saints kind of game. There's no space in behind that Liverpool backline. They're very deep at the moment. Alyssa says, I can't deal with one more. We go again, Arsenal post. Yeah, I like as well their post-match post, their full-time post. They seem to be making the scoreline smaller every week. Just like hiding it in the top corner. I find that quite amusing. Just pretend nothing went wrong. First, I'd have Smith doing nothing but crossing and cutbacks in training. Yeah, it's interesting they haven't developed her left foot this season. Here's Ford. Because I thought that would have been what they worked on hard. And you'd expect to see some sort of progression at this stage in the season. She's still very raw, Olivia Smith. But the fact she's still so one-dimensional, and that seems to be something that hasn't been addressed yet by the coaching staff, I think is poor. Catley. Ford. You know, if you have a player like Smith who's incredibly good at one thing, you've got two options. You either double down on that, and you trust that she's so good on her right that it's fine, or you make her, more well-rounded. I don't think they've really done either. Arsenal now looking to make something happen. Here's Fox. Shifts it to Smith. It's a great pass inside. Caldente slips in behind. Chance of Black Sands. Has she gone too soon? And it's Dean that she has. And we'll check the lines. We'll check the replay. It's a little harsh. I mean, she didn't finish the chance anyway, but equally, I think the flag had gone up before she had the shot. Yeah, she's gone too early. Got to time that better, Blacksenius. It's the second time now she's been caught offside, and to be fair, the shot wasn't great anyway. But that's a big chance again. But Blacksenius timed it wrong. Caldente heads on. Nagano drops now for Ford. He's going to slip it in behind. Blacksenius will work. She's going to get there. Chance now for Stina Blacksenius. Can she finish it? Rounds the goalkeeper. Should score. What a block. What a recovery. Jenna Clark, that is phenomenal. Sorry, Gemma Evans, that is phenomenal. Blackstenius with an open goal, but Evans gets back in there. And that is an absolute game-saving challenge. Liverpool don't deal with the ball initially, and Evans doesn't deal with it well either. Blackstenius seeing header. Sorry, we're not going to see the replay because the ball's coming into the box. Kirby claims well. Kirby comes out, she makes Blacksenius have to round it, and that gives the time for Evans to get back in. But still, that is such a big challenge. Let's see it again. Blacksenius goes around her. Brilliant from Kirby. Have to give her credit where it's due. She knocks her so wide there with her position. She makes herself wide. Blacksenius has to take it really wide. It gives time for Evans to get back in, jump in front of the shot. Massive block at this stage of the game. Liverpool coming forwards here. Here's Enderby. Squeezes it through to Olsen. Chance now for Liverpool. Can they get the shot away? She's taking it too wide there. There wasn't really the room to work with. Here's Kapox. Now Lundgaard. What a kick to the teeth this would be. A shot from Woodham is blocked. And Russo now to Ford. Clark, though, intervenes. Here's Lily Woodham. Nagano. This game's come to life. Evans plays it into McLean. Now out to the left-hand side, Woodham. What can they make happen here? Liverpool. Chris says Liverpool's backline are getting slightly holy now. They're getting very holy now. Yeah, there are gaps opening. And Arsenal yet to capitalise. Brilliant from Kapox there to hold on to the ball. Knocks it down the line. That, though, intercepted well by Wubben-Moy. McCabe, now Caldente, shifts it forwards. Blackstenius makes the run off the shoulder. Here's a chance again for Senior Blackstenius. Tries to run across Evans. Evans does brilliantly once again. Stands her ground, is physical against Blackstenius. And again there, Blackstenius is just too one-footed. Arsenal doing well to create space in behind that Liverpool backline. Blackstenius here, she has to get it onto her right. And she knows that means taking it across Evans. But Evans does really well in there. Ball forwards into Kim Little. Game still remains tied. Pass out to the right-hand side. Here is Olivia Smith, who wants to dart inside of the ball. Back now into Fox. Now Wubben-Moy. Catley. Here is McCabe. Now Little. Plays it forward into Smith, and here come Arsenal. Olivia Smith shifts it wide. Rousseau takes aim, and that is not a convincing clearance by Clark. I thought she was about to put that in her own net. But that does clear the crossbar, and it's out for a corner. Shaldell says it feels like Arsenal will get a second. Pressure is piling. Yeah, they're ramping up. And this is good to see. Arsenal have brought urgency into the game. Again, my frustration in the Tottenham match with Arsenal was they never went for it. You know, even at 0-0 in the 89th minute, it was let's play it slowly out from the back. And they never created anything in that game. There is a sense of urgency. There is a sense of desire in this game. Can they capitalise on that? McCabe now with the corner. Ball in towards the near post. Kirby gets there. And Woodham does well. No, she doesn't. She thought she'd stopped it going for a corner, but the officials disagree. Arsenal corner again allows them to keep the pressure on. McCabe plays it short. Caldente back to McCabe. Ball in towards the back post. Man, Ford doesn't do enough there. And that's out for a goal kick. Misses the target. And it's become very open at the end of this game. But Arsenal failing to capitalise as of net. And yeah, Ford just didn't really bring it down well. Then a weak foot let her down as she skewed it well wide. Ball forwards. Rousseau wins the header. Flicked on in there. Will drop down now to Kapox. Ball down the line, and that's poked off. Liz says, at least Arsenal men have equalised. Oh yeah, I've no idea how that game's getting on. Are they 1-0 down then? Oh, gutted they've equalised. Here is Wubben-Moy. Ball forwards. Great hold up in there from Rousseau. One back well there by Enderby. Here come Liverpool. Pass inside is Lundgaard. Shifts it through the lines. One back though by Borba. What can Arsenal do? Pass out to the left-hand side. McCabe into Mariona Caldente. Does well there to hold on to the ball. Out to the right-hand side. Here's Fox. Plays it in behind. Blackstenius makes the run off the shoulder again. Chance now for Blackstenius. Can she take aim? She does, and it's there. Arsenal find the leveller at last. Blackstenius with a run off the shoulder. Seemed to time it well. Liverpool got back in. But Blackstenius managed to find the back of the net regardless. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 1. They've left it late. But they do find what should now be the winner. We'll have a look again at that move. And you sensed it was coming. Liverpool way too open. The ball goes in behind. It's tight. It's really tight. I think Blackstenius goes slightly early, but she'll get away with it. The defence get back in, but a shot of that quality. I mean, Kirby's way too far out of her goal. And then Stina Blackstenius firing home well. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 1. Phil says, get in. She completely changed us when she's up top. Yeah, those she's been much more direct. Those runs in behind have hurt Liverpool. I think Liverpool have weirdly pushed their line higher. You know, you look at how they played in the Chelsea game, and they just dropped really deep right at the end of the game to kill it off. But in this game, they pushed the line high, and with Arsenal bringing on Blackstenius, that was criminal. McCabe back now to Van Donselaar. Now Catley. I think the thinking probably was they could keep catching Blackstenius offside, and to be fair, they have done that with pretty much every other run. And to be fair, that one, it looked incredibly tight. I'd argue it was closer to being offside than on, but it was incredibly difficult for the lino to ascertain. But yeah, that's cost Liverpool that. Probably should have dropped deeper after the first few warning signs. Nagano just catching little. Not sure how Liverpool got a free kick there. Capox tries to go down the line. On back by McCabe. He just sees it out. Here is McCabe. Caldente, now McCabe again. Plays it in behind. Blackstenius makes that run in behind. Chance now for Arsenal. I think the flag has gone up. Blackstenius again looking to make that run off the shoulder. Oh, well, this one was onside. In her own half there. Not sure what the lino's seen. Possibly making up for the goal on that one. And that's out for a Liverpool throw. And Liverpool, now the momentum's got to shift. Now they've got to believe they can try and find an equaliser. 7 minutes of additional time. Not sure how or why, but there we go. Has there been that many stoppages? That's the word of modern football. There's a couple injuries, but there's nothing that long. A couple subs and goals, but yeah. McKay brought down in there. That's Liverpool working to try and make something happen right at the end of this game. And with that, Leanne Kiernan will enter the fray. One of very few options Liverpool do have off the bench today. And so it will be Kiernan to be introduced in a moment. Will that be a like for like, or are they going to go for this? McCabe, Catley, back now to Ruben Moy. Back to Borba. Under pressure here from Olsen. Does shift out to the right-hand side well. Fox can't quite keep it under her control. Liverpool with the throw-in. Great pressure there from the visitors. And it will be McLean making way. So they're going for this now. The listeners, the officiating's been really disappointing in the WSL. Yeah, we spoke about this loads before with officiating. The problem you've got is that they understandably want to push to have more female officials in the WSL. And I think it's good. You know, you want to see female officials given that opportunity, but the problem you've got is that there aren't enough female officials trained to a high enough standard. Liverpool almost caught out there. Clark commits the foul and will be booked. Brought down forward there. And so that is an Arsenal free kick. Shamadil says it was a Blackstenius handball for the goal, or questions. It looked like it hit her face, to be fair. I'm sure if it is a handball, we'll see a load of discourse about it. Because we like talking about refereeing decisions rather than football. But, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I thought it was slightly offside. It's a very tight one, though, in all fairness. Olivia Smith tries to play it forward. Poor pass, though, from Russo. She's really struggled today, Russo. Here's Enderby. Now Kiernan. Good hold up. Brings Lundgaard into play. Now out to the right-hand side. Capox. Shifts it down the line. Kiernan makes the run off the shoulder of McKay. Ball into the area. Would have been difficult for anyone to reach that one. And the goalkeeper claims it comfortably. Anton says, have to invest more money into training and recruitment of officials, but no one wants to invest that money. Well, yeah, that for me would be where you focus a lot of investment. The problem is the WPLL or whatever they're called now. I think they're just the WSL Co, aren't they? They'd rather invest in... I don't know what they're investing in, to be fair. I'm sure they're doing something noble, but... I mean, they've spent loads of money on a rebrand that no one wanted or asked for. That is actively worse. But don't worry. We can't have good officials. We need orange. Ball in behind. For Arsenal. Just trying to see this game out now. And do mind the timer because the game's frozen a few times, so it's slightly out for me. And now has completely gone. Beautiful stuff. Someone just says VAR's not in their immediate plans. The problem is VAR would be, lovely, but ultimately, until you bring in, and until the referees are better, you can't have VAR because none of them are trained to use it. Change here for Arsenal and Olivia Smith. The goal scorer, the opening goal scorer for Arsenal, will make way. I mean, to be fair, I think outside the goal, she's had a bit of a quiet game. Don't know how she's got player of the match. Would love to know how she's got player of the match. Kadina coming on. So Arsenal going super defensive at the end of this just to see it out. Who would I give player of the match to? Blackstone's changed the way Arsenal have played, and that's a huge thing for me. So she's definitely in with a shout. I think Taylor Hines would be up there for me. The problem is she only played 57 minutes. I wouldn't have subbed her off though, but I thought she looked really solid. Faye Kirby did well in moments, but she probably should have done better for the goal. Not a lot she could. Well, she probably could have done. Probably could have done better for both goals, to be fair. Phil says that's wild. She had a stinker outside the goal. Well, that's what I thought, but that is Sky Sports, to be fair. Player of the match award. It always goes to the goal scorer, without a shadow of a doubt. Enderby comes inside well. And that is dealt with by Little. Yeah, I don't know who I'd give player of the match to. It's difficult to pick out a standout when the goal scorers... Like, Blackstone's only played half an hour, and I think... I struggled to give it to Sus, but Blackstone's did really well to sort of completely change this game, to be fair. And Karate is always consistently good, but she didn't really do anything that wows you. Fox is always the easiest player to say is player of the match. Emily Fox never plays badly. Genuinely never seen Emily Fox have a bad game. And that is full time here at the Emirates. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 1. A hard fought for, but well deserved victory in the end by Arsenal. Liverpool gave it everything in the first half, made it difficult, incredibly difficult for Arsenal, but ultimately couldn't apply the finishing touch and couldn't keep Arsenal out for the entire 90 minutes. But Arsenal back to winning ways, and that is an important 3 points. A slip up there would have been quite difficult to recover from. Could have seen them drop behind quite a few teams, but that does push them momentarily into the Champions League spots. Although Manchester United will have the opportunity to leapfrog them again and Tottenham the opportunity to draw level once again this game week. But that is important. They kicked the weekend off well, Arsenal. And I mean, if United do drop points, which isn't impossible against West Ham, improbable, sure, but not impossible, that could see Arsenal back into the Champions League places, which would be a big step. That, though, is everything for this game. I hope you have enjoyed this coverage. It has been stricken with Wi-Fi issues, though luckily I think everything has worked on the stream the whole time. So I hope you have enjoyed. Taylor has to work it out with Liverpool. Another tough result, albeit they fought well. I thought they played well for a lot of the game. They did well to keep Arsenal out. Though they did have to ride their luck at moments in the second half. Arsenal did get a lot better, though, in the second 45, especially with the introduction of Stina Blackstenius. But Liverpool 2 points now off West Ham. Rooted to the bottom of the Premier League. To the Women's Super League, sorry. And, well, with Aston Villa on Thursday, their game in hand, that game becomes even more crucial. Because I don't see West Ham getting a result against United tomorrow. And so they are in a position, Liverpool, where if they could beat Villa on Thursday, they could take advantage. And the big one, obviously, coming next Sunday, Liverpool versus West Ham. The relegation 6-pointer, really. And this is the thing, if Liverpool win, I think Liverpool could very much beat Villa, with Villa being in consistent form, and beat West Ham. And suddenly they're 9th. And so I wouldn't be too concerned for any Liverpool fans watching just yet. There's a long way to go in this season. Look at Everton from last campaign. They're awful. Absolutely awful for the first 6 months of the season. And then they invested loads in January, got really good. And then they really kicked on. So I won't be too concerned. I think for me, Liverpool are much better than West Ham, Everton and Leicester. They just haven't had the fortune of the results. I mean, today and Man City are both games where they ran top sides close and deserved more. Leicester, they should have taken their chances. I think if they played Leicester now, they'd comfortably beat them. So I wouldn't be too concerned for Liverpool. But yeah, big 3 points for Arsenal. We're back on Monday. Remember, Monday, the weekend roundup show is now moving from Tuesday to Monday, and that will be a live show. So join us from 5 p.m. UK time. We're discussing all the games from this WSL game week. And if you can't watch with us live, then make sure to check out the WSL weekend roundup after the fact, because obviously that live stream will be available after we have finished streaming. So yeah, join us for that though on Monday. And then we are live throughout this week. Champions League doubleheader Tuesday, Champions League doubleheader Wednesday. We've got WSL action on Thursday, and then WSL next weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. Unfortunately, as I say, not about tomorrow. We will be live on Monday to make up for it. That is everything though for today. I hope you have enjoyed. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you next time.